And now it's time for our weekly energy update with Dan McTeague, president of Canadians for Affordable Energy.
Thank you very much, Teresa. Well, we're heading towards not only the long weekend, the first of summer, but the beginning of the summer demand driving season. Now, that's an issue, a topic that I think has become more and more of a concern because it is having an effect on gas prices, not because it's a long weekend, but because demand starts usually at this time of year, and markets tend to reflect that. Next week, of course, the U.S. begins its Memorial Day long weekend, so this is really the time of the season where we do tend to see prices go up. And just for full disclosure, the only difference in price this year versus last year is strictly the carbon tax. A lot of people were thinking maybe it should have been more than that, but it was only 21 cents a liter, which is a lot. But many people believe it should have been 35. The reason we saw the carbon tax come off on April 1st, which meant a 20 cent a liter decrease, and then another 10 cent followed very quickly, because on the 2nd or 3rd of April, OPEC made a decision to restore a lot of its production quotas. So that caused oil to tumble, and with it, the price of gasoline. So we saw not a 20, but a 30 cent decrease, which of course was eventually eaten up or restored, if you will, by the fact that on the 15th of April, as we talked about here, Teresa, we switched from winter to summer gasoline. That's 6 cents a liter. And of course, we've seen gasoline futures move up probably about the equivalent of about another 5-6 cents a liter. So that 10 cent extra on top of the 20 is now gone. We're heading towards heavier demand for fuel. Lower prices is in fact encouraging more demand, and it really puts, of course, a lie to those who've been clinging to net zero, saying that fossil fuels will be gone. I note, by the way, Teresa, an organization that I've had to take on from time to time, the International Energy Organization, has come out and said, oh, there's no future. Divest yourself from fossil fuels. I know our friends over at Eurasia Group, who make up now a lot of Mark Carney's cabinet. Last interview I did with Evan Solomon was on that very topic. And I always knew that the International Energy Agency, which is supported by OECD countries and the G7 and others, has a tendency to try to overestimate the green climate nonsense, while at the same time walking away from their fundamental responsibility to ensure energy security. And they failed miserably when it came to oil and gas, because they obviously didn't anticipate what was going to happen, and may have a lot to do with what took place in Europe with energy being where they walked away from making their own oil and gas and natural gas production in favor of getting it from Russia. And of course, that hasn't turned out very well. But I digress. Back to Canada. We have to now look at the prospect this weekend. We'll see a slight decrease in gas prices, although up to today, we've seen some pretty big increases across the country, anywhere from 7 to 9 cents a liter for gasoline and about 4 to 5 cents a liter for diesel. Much of that, again, the result of exuberance of demand being very strong, notwithstanding the tariff trade war. The fact is that lower prices are in fact encouraging much higher demand. But we're also seeing this weekend what could be a 1 or 2 cent decrease. So across the country, Vancouver, which saw a 10 cent, 12 cent increase over the past 10 days, is now about to get a big decrease on Saturday morning of about 6 cents a liter. Same with Victoria. For the rest of British Columbia, that would mean, of course, places like Prince George and Kelowna and Kamloops, and further south, Kimberley and those places, expect a 3 cent drop on the weekend. So there is good news. If you wait until Saturday to fill up, it's probably better rather than filling up on Friday. For Alberta, in the 133 range, heading down to about $1.28 on this weekend. So hold on for savings of a few cents. Not so much for Saskatchewan, still 131 to 135 tends to be the price we see there. In Manitoba, $1.30, although some places are a little lower than that. That's really only gas bars playing with and toying with their retail margins, what I call gas bar shenanigans. Ontario, as I mentioned earlier, moved up to $1.40, but moved back down to $1.38, likely by Sunday. 1 penny drop on Saturday, another penny drop on Sunday. And of course, like Quebec, which follows at $1.63 because they still have the carbon tax and higher taxes, what we're going to see is a bit of a decrease, especially on the retail margins. If you can wait until 6 p.m. every single day in major cities across Canada to buy your fuel, you're going to save a lot of money, not weekly, not monthly, but yearly. I estimate that to be an average of 6 cent savings by waiting until 6 p.m. wait till six to save six should be the new slogan. That could mean an average fill-up savings a week of as much as $4 or $5 multiplied by 50 weeks. That's $200. So there's some solid advice here that I'm willing to give here and share in news forum to ensure that people know that these predictions aren't just done because we can wrap numbers off. It's because we actually understand how gasoline pricing and the impact it has on affordability and people's ability to make ends meet. And by the way, Teresa, I know that we haven't talked about this in a long time. This is a little report that I wrote back in 1998. I chaired it. It was the Liberal Committee on Gasoline Pricing when I was a member of Parliament. That goes to show you how long I've been at this. It's not something I've developed overnight. And gas price predictions just a little bit before that in 1996. So we're about 30 years in predicting gas prices. We tend to think on average we're pretty accurate, but accuracy aside, predictions aside, never buy your gasoline until 6 p.m. Finally, the Maritimes saw a pretty big increase, 7 to 9 cents a liter. That's because they hold off. They have a 1 week average price movement. They take 7 days, 5 days, put it together, and then come out with these weird formulas to give people a sense that they're getting a security blanket or some kind of better government tell them the price of gasoline in the markets because they feel the markets will rip them off. Kind of unusual, but I've long since given up on my frustration with that kind of top-down view of the world. I think Atlantic Canadians are owed a much better approach, and that's to have predictability, tell them day to day what the price is. Nevertheless, they saw a 9 cent increase in some instances, Nova Scotia, and certainly a little bit up there in Newfoundland. And so this morning, this might be the end of those such increases. At least next week, I'm anticipating we'll see about a 2 or 3 cent a liter decrease for Atlantic Canada, especially on the diesel side. Now, diesel this time of year tends to fall because it's no longer used as a proxy for heating oil. Temperatures are going up. And of course, this time of year, the real factors are, can refineries keep up with demand? And of course, do we also have a situation where we see Canadian dollar having an impact? And we also know full well that hurricanes and other disruptions can force prices to go back up. So, Teresa, what we'll be watching for the next couple of weeks, prices as they go up technically during the summer and then come right back down as they will come September 15th. In the meantime, a lot of gas price predictions to come, so stay tuned and I look forward to updating you again this time next week. Thanks, Teresa.